and welcome back to Nadya's Identity Files. I have with me my second fabulous, amazing guest, Sarah Danielle Jackson. You didn't know that we were live, did you?
No. Right now, it's like
literally, like as we're having a countdown, she looks at me. She's like, "Are we live? Surprise!
Better not mess that up."
Right? It's all good. I'm so happy that you're here.
Me too.
I haven't seen Sierra in a long time, but like you look the same. You look even better. I hope I look the same. I think I look a little different.
You look the same.
Relatively.
You haven't aged.
Well, you know, it's just like all of this fabulous lighting coming in through the studio and other secrets that we won't reveal today. So, really important that you're talking about these issues, and obviously you're already out talking about these issues. You had a really cool video come out on the Mighty where you were talking about chronic pain. Everybody, I do have the URL in the corner of the screen for you to check out, so go and look at that after the segment. So, I mean, I really consider you one of the most inspirational people that I know.
Thank you.
Amazing. You've accomplished everything from acting to modeling to beauty pageants, all the while having sickle cell anemia, which is super incredible. I mean, regular people who, you know, they haven't accomplished nearly as much, not to put anyone against each other, but you've really embraced your struggle and used it kind of as a launch pad, I think, for your journey, and that's super impressive and inspiring. Can you talk a little bit about this process and about your journey?
Yeah, so for those of you guys who don't know, sickle cell disease is basically a blood disorder that affects the red blood cells. It's a genetic disorder, and basically your red blood cells are shaped like a banana. In a normal person's body, they are shaped like a circle, but in my body, they're shaped like a banana. So when they lack oxygen and they get stuck in your veins, and when this happens, it's called a pain crisis. So being born with this, I have had hundreds of pain crises, and I've had to be hospitalized for all of my life. Being in excruciating pain, I've had to be on crazy amounts of narcotics. I've had to go through drug withdrawal because, you know, when you're having a crisis, they have to manage that pain. And,
right.
And then, like, your body is on this pain pump, and then they take you off of it. And it's not like, oh, I'm addicted to drugs. It's like your body becomes dependent on the drugs. So having had to be on narcotics for all of my life, and then had to get a lot of blood transfusions. So it's something that I've been battling for a really long time. And when I was 18 years old, I was talking to my doctors. I'm 28, by the way, but 10 years ago, I was talking to my doctors.
She looks so much younger.
I was talking to my doctors about transplantation, and it was something that I wanted to do, but it wasn't, I don't think, as successful then as it is now. So it was something that I had the opportunity to do, and 10 years later, like, I was finally able to go through the transplant last year. I went through a lot of chemotherapy. They knocked out my entire immune system, and it was very rough, like a very, very, very rough year, but I got a transplant from somebody in the UK, and now I am cured of sickle cell.
That's so incredible. In the UK.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, an unrelated match. It's still new. I just hit my year mark in May. Well, that's not that recent, but you're not allowed to meet the donor until after a year. So I'm
really?
Hoping, yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. Maybe it's because if it doesn't work, I don't know.
Like, the person will, like, feel like rot with guilt.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So
wow.
They don't let you reach out to the person until a year after the transplant. So my goal is to apply at the hospital. Every year at the hospital, they allow 2 people to meet their donor. They fly in the donor wherever that person's from, and you get to meet them at the grand hospital event that they host every year.
Nice.
So I want to apply to meet my person in front of everyone.
You should, and film it and
Yeah.
record it. Like, that would be amazing, amazing. So, I mean, because of this successful bone marrow transplantation, you're cured. I mean,
I'm cured.
That's amazing, and congratulations. It's just, you've obviously went through a lot to be where you are today, and it's wonderful. And I'm sure it's going to be amazing to meet your donor.
Yeah.
A very emotional experience as well. So, I mean, one thing that I really want to talk about is obviously living for so many years with something as debilitating and often excruciating as sickle cell disease really impacts one's identity. And now you're a cured person, but yet so many years you were like walking around like, oh, well, I have this thing that I'm dealing with. I mean, how has this transition impacted how you, I guess, self-represent and your feelings about identity, your identity?
Well, I'm not going to lie. This year has, not being in the hospital since around April, this year has definitely been tough, not just because of the transplant itself, but being born with something and having to live with it for 27 years, and then suddenly it's been taken away, it definitely did define me. I remember when I wrote my college application, I went to UCLA, I wrote my essay, and the first line of it was, "It is what I have, but it does not define me." I mean, I have to say that I think that is a lie, because it definitely did define me. It influenced every decision that I made. I could not go swimming in a cold pool because I would have a pain crisis and be in the hospital. I couldn't go, be in the ocean. It's way too cold. Go out of town to cold climates, go into a hot sauna. It really just influenced my whole life. So when I was in school, I was constantly having to play catch up. So for me, it's definitely been different these last few months, realizing, oh, I don't have this thing anymore. And I don't mean to sound morbid or anything, but also it's been weird because for my whole life I had this thing that I had, and I know it sounds so sick. This sounds so sick and twisted, but you know what I mean.
You love things sick and twisted.
It's so sick and twisted. But listen, I feel like I had this disease, and it was, I don't want to say an excuse, because I feel like I've always been very ambitious for things that I want in life, but I have to say that it's been hard because I always had this thing that I can make an excuse for. You know what I mean? If I was not doing well in school or whatever the case may have been, it was because I had this disease. So, in a weird way, it's just this thing that I've always had to consider. Yeah. Always, if I'm going out of town with friends. It's been pulled out. And so it's different. And it's a great different, but it's different. And it's who is Sierra without sickle cell? Who's Sierra who can go out with her friends and her friends are not going to have to call 911 for me to be in the hospital? So
how have your friends dealt with, friends and family dealt with your transition? Are they still, do you feel very careful around you, very concerned when ways that you might be well, now I'm cured, so can you just trust that I'm going to be okay?
Well, I don't really think that my friends were ever very I don't feel like they were very careful around me, because I feel like sickle cell is very much so an invisible disease. Yeah. And so I don't really think that they really took the things that I went through into consideration when they asked me to do stuff. I would have to just say, no, I can't do that, blah, blah, blah. But for my family, it's definitely been a transition. My mom is still make sure you drink, make sure you are covered up. She's still, I feel like it's still ingrained in her that I could be sick at any moment, and it's definitely been a transition with my family too, but it's good.
Wow, that's so much interesting. And it was really interesting how you just mentioned how in your UCLA application you're this does not define me. Do you think that you felt maybe pressure to let people know in this process that this is not defining me, when in actuality you felt like it did, and now this, the tables have turned, so now it's the opposite is happening. Yeah,
I mean, are you saying I feel like it does define? It did define me?
It did define you. It's it did. Now you have this heightened awareness because you don't have it anymore.
I know. I definitely, I hate to say I miss it. Yeah. That's a terrible thing to say, but it's definitely just been a transition. Right. It's different.
Yeah. I mean, it's a way of life that you grew up with, and you had to, hold on to without wanting to, and now.
And I felt like with everything that I did, whether it was a pageant or school or acting or anything that I've ever done, it's always been oh, I had to overcome this barrier. You know what I mean? And now there's not this barrier. I've just become so used to the struggle,
right,
per se.
Well, I would say that maybe there still is a struggle. It's just different.
Yeah.
You know, it's different.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really great that you're self-aware, and I think that you're going to help a lot of people, you know, in their process, you know, either if they're still dealing with the impacts of having sickle cell now, or in the process of getting a transplantation, or post as well. So, you know, just keep doing what you do.
Thank you.
And don't be so hard on yourself. You're not sick and twisted. So I love that. Like, I'm just going to use that all the time now. Like, that's just so funny.
It's just hard because I the struggles that I've been facing, I'm like, okay, like I shouldn't be feeling this way, you know what I mean? But it's definitely a thing, and it's somebody that I talked to a psychiatrist about, because they said that it's hard for patients who have gone through chronic illnesses to transition into a healthy life. Like, it's different.
Yeah, it's 100% different.
Yeah.
It's a whole new life. So I congratulate you on your new path, and I know that Sierra has so many exciting things ahead, and you can catch her on Instagram. I tagged you on Instagram, so it should be floating in the corner. And also I put the link to the Mighty up on, should be also floating in the corner. I keep saying floating in the corner because I don't know if it's in the right-hand side or the left-hand side, so I'm just like floating in the corner.
So
like,
you're floating in the corner, and I'm like, sick and twisted.
Yeah, I'm floating in the corner, and you're sick and twisted. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. And if you have any other questions, or if you want to connect with Sierra and you can't find her for whatever reason, get in touch with me and I will make the connection. Thank you.
Thank you.